You know, we all think we know what love is, right? It's in our songs, our movies, our poems. But what if I told you it's less about romance and more about biology? Today, we're going to dig into love as this powerful, ancient force that's actually hardwired right into us for survival. So, let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the heart of it all. Is love just a feeling? You know, an emotion that washes over you and then maybe just fades away? I mean, we feel it so intensely, but what's really happening under the hood?
Well, the science points to something way, way bigger. It turns out love isn't just some fleeting emotion. Nope, it's a fundamental mechanism, something hardwired into our DNA over millions of years. And this is the wild part. It's literally the key to our species' survival.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's get on the same page about what we're even talking about. Love is, well, it's a lot of things at once. It's a profound emotion, for sure, but it's also a biological drive, just as powerful as hunger or thirst. And on top of that, it's a social force that has shaped, well, everything about human history. So to really get this, we've got to start small, like really small. We're going right inside our own heads. Let's pop the hood, so to speak, and take a look at what scientists call the brain's love cocktail. So, you know that feeling when you start falling for someone? Your brain's reward system just kicks into overdrive. It starts flooding your system with this potent mix of chemicals. And that cocktail is what's behind that incredible rush of euphoria, that pleasure, that intense, can't think about anything else focus. All right, so ingredient number one in this cocktail, dopamine. You've probably heard of it, right? It's all about pleasure and reward. This is our internal motivation engine. It's a chemical that gives you that buzz of excitement and creates that almost obsessive craving for the person you're into. Okay, next up in the mix, oxytocin. People call this the love hormone or the cuddle hormone, and for a really good reason. This is our bonding agent. It gets released during moments of physical intimacy, hugs, holding hands, you name it, and it fosters those deep feelings of attachment, of connection, and of trust. You know, all the stuff that's absolutely vital for a real relationship. And rounding out our big three is vasopressin. Now, if oxytocin helps create that initial bond, think of vasopressin as the commitment hormone. Research shows it's directly linked to long-term pair bonding and, monogamous behavior. It's kind of like the superglue that holds everything together. And as we're about to see, there's a very important reason for that. Okay, so we know what's happening inside the brain now, right? We've got this chemical cocktail, but that just leads to a much bigger question. Why? I mean, why would evolution create such a complex and powerful system in the first place? Well, the answer takes us way, way back to our most ancient survival instincts. And here's the thing you have to remember about evolution. It doesn't really do things by accident. This whole chemical process we've been talking about, it has an incredibly practical purpose. Love is, at its core, a survival instinct. It evolved for one main reason, to make sure two parents stick together long enough to raise our incredibly vulnerable kids. And this really gets to the core of the human challenge. I mean, think about it. A baby horse, a foal, can walk within hours of being born. But a human infant? Oh man, they are completely and utterly helpless. Not just for days or weeks, but for years. And that long period of dependency, that is the evolutionary problem that love was designed to solve. This is exactly why that pair bond is like an evolutionary superpower. It creates this shield of nurturing and protection for kids when they're most vulnerable. It also becomes the very first classroom where knowledge and culture get passed down from one generation to the next. And, super importantly, it creates a cooperative team that can share resources and make sure the whole family unit survives and thrives.
So we've seen love in the brain, and we've seen it at the family level, but the story doesn't stop there, not even close. This same basic mechanism scales up, becoming the social glue that holds our entire species together. It's our biological blueprint for flourishing.
And evolution was pretty smart about this. It built a whole system, really, in 3 stages. First, you've got lust. That just gets the whole process started, right? It encourages reproduction. Then comes attraction, which helps us narrow our focus and choose a good, healthy mate. And finally, you have attachment. That's powered by the chemical cocktail we talked about, and it's what cements the bond long-term, making sure parents stick around to raise the kids. So when you put all of these pieces together, you get to this pretty stunning conclusion. Love isn't just a nice-to-have. It is a fundamental requirement for human survival and flourishing. It is just as essential as food or air. It's not a luxury, it's not just some poetic idea, it's a straight-up biological necessity. So, if love really is our biological blueprint for survival, that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What does that mean for our future? What does it mean for how we build not just our personal relationships, but our communities, our societies, our entire world? It's a powerful idea to think about. Thanks for exploring it with me today.